Hello friends, ZQuixotix here to bring you an analysis of Snaking's Mirana position 5. This is something I've been wanting to learn on my own, so this is kind of a standalone for that, but it's also a follow-up to my last video, which was how to learn from replay analysis, either your own games or pro matches like this. So I'm going to kind of walk you through this, so if you just want to know about Mirana, you'll get that, but also if you kind of want to see what I'm looking for, then you'll see that process as well. So Sneyking kind of pioneered this, so I figured he's like the best person we could go to start learning Mirana 5, which I've played Mirana 4, but how does she exactly function as a 5 hero? That's kind of the differences I'm looking for. So with that last video, you'll remember I recommended you take a bit of an active approach. I recommend you try to make a guide and predict how you think a hero will play. So whether it's Mirana or whatever hero you want to learn, you can't find a current guide for it, so you're trying to like theory craft it and watch some games yourself. So for Mirana, I think she will mostly right-click in the laning stage and harass a lot. So I think she'll buy a lot of cheap right-click items. You know, maybe a stick, maybe you don't need it. You can swap it out with more iron branches and maybe a another sentry, something like that. You adapt to the lane a little bit. Beyond that, that's where I start having some questions. So I think arcane boots make sense for Mirana. I see her wanting to be active as a position 5 group with heroes. So because she's ranged, she doesn't take too much damage. Her farming abilities are pretty good as well, like an instant kill arrow or Starstorm, which has a good AoE. So I don't think she takes too much damage while farming. So I think she can go with Arcane Boots rather than Tranquils, and that helps keep her team topped up on mana so they can keep being active. A wand, supports classic. And then from there, I think she's a very flexible item build, so I think it's kind of just whatever your team needs, and that's something I'll be looking for to see what Sneyking builds. This is just one game we're looking at today, but usually I glance through a lot of different games to get an idea of what people want to build. Now, in terms of abilities, this is where I have another question as well. So I know position 4 Mirana frequently starts with Sacred Arrow, but I think position 5 Mirana, I've seen people do Starstorm. So I'm still trying to understand that difference exactly, so I really want to see how he's using these spells in the laning stage, because that will give me a better idea. So I've seen some people do something like Starstorm, Leap, Starstorm, and then Arrow at 4, and sometimes I see Arrow earlier at like 3 or maybe even 1. And then it is usually max Starstorm because it's better for farming and fighting. But it's just like, where do they take this first point in Arrow? I think it kind of depends on your laning stage and your laning partner who you're against, like how likely you can get a kill. But again, that is something that I kind of have to dive deeper into the games. I can't just look at a list of skill builds and kind of understand why they're choosing one or the other. So that is something else we will be looking for. Past that, though, I think the build is pretty standard in terms of max Starstorm, Sacred Arrow. So I don't have too many questions, but we will see there. I am curious to see when they pick up the talents. I don't know if they always take it at like 10, 11, maybe push it off to like 15, 16. So that is something else to be keeping an eye out for. Hopping into the game, this is a good time to say, you might see some stuff in a pro match, right? This is Enigma versus Tundra that you won't see in your everyday pub. So like a level 1 smoke, maybe there'll be like some creep dragging shenanigans. I don't know yet. But that's the thing you want to like kind of keep separate. Like, okay, maybe I don't need to do this in my own games. And so like as Mirana, in my own games, I do think, level 1 potential, maybe that's a reason why you take Sacred Arrow. If your team wants first blood and you're going for it as a group and you see a good arrow potential, like you have a teammate who already has a stun setup, so stun into arrow, easy first blood, I could see that as a reason why you take Sacred Arrow. So they didn't find anyone this time, but I would have been curious to know, maybe he would have taken Sacred Arrow for that, maybe not. So that might be something else I look for in more games. I won't watch the whole game, but just like the first few seconds of any game that starts with arrow, and just see if like it was related to a first blood attempt, and if not, how did he use it in the laning stage, what the matchups were. Let's speed up a little. I think our starting items had the right idea. Still actually hasn't picked a skill yet, so that I wonder if that means he's thinking about Sacred Arrow, or maybe just saving Leap as a potential, doesn't want to be first blooded. Let me use that as an escape. All right, so we are blocking the hard camp. Let's think about that. I spend a lot of the time on the laning stage and then kind of like zoom through the rest of the game. I might cut around depending how long this, I think it's like a 50-minute game, so we'll see how long the video goes. Blocking the lane, Clockwork's pretty strong. Darkseer has Ion Shell, so it's very easy for them to shove the lane, and then while you're stuck dealing with the pushed in lane and Ion Shell, they can pull to really punish you. So you can sometimes contest that yourself, but against Clockwork, who's also maybe going to have Ion Shell, that sounds like a huge pain. Even though you're a ranged hero as Mirana, I can see why he doesn't want to deal with this, and so he's blocking the camp. So that's good to know. I wasn't sure if you would do this, because with Arrow, you could farm it, But if you're skipping arrow, then I guess you're not farming it. So in that case, you're kind of a typical support at that point. Maybe you just don't want certain matchups to have that camp. Okay, so coming in, let's see. He was thinking about that range creep I see. Now we're doing a little bit of poking. Gonna have to run away from this clockwork and then just start doing damage. So yeah, some of the right clicks. I imagine he's gonna like, yeah, attempting some denies, making the Darkseer's life a bit of a pain. If Darkseer's not in range, he's going for some denies to help fix equilibrium, but also, you know, just denies are good. And then when Clockwork is up, he's here poking. Okay, so let's talk about how he's using Starstorm. So he's using Starstorm when he can guarantee the second hit on an enemy hero like this Clockwork. My concern with starting Starstorm as a position 5 Mirana was shoving the lane out, right? Because you can't really control what it hits. But actually you can if you choose when to use it. It only like goes so far. So far I've seen him use it in a way that doesn't push the lane too much, but guarantees the double hit on a hero. So that way he's getting the max harass he can from the spell. But you could also use it to secure creeps. You can kind of like multi-purpose it, right? Secure a range creep potentially and harass. So let's keep an eye on how he continues to use this. Is he going for, yep, range denies with his carry. Hasn't really gone to do any small pulls. Keeps playing the lane. Doesn't really need to do that either if he's doing so much harass and poke. You know, you don't have to like fix equilibrium, but that might be something that's unique to each game. Something to keep in mind. Still just poking. So the lane's kind of like starting to push out, but he is not going to go do a small pull. Harley maybe saw Clockwork go that way and doesn't want to let this be free. So see, the illusions are coming in to... That's pretty cool, actually. See the illusions come in to like harass and try to like shut this down a bit. We're not here for him, though. Okay, so what are you doing on Mirana? Okay, now unblocking your small camp, so you have that available to you. Something else, he bought 6 tangos at the start and then a lot of right-click items, cheap iron branches. My guess is, as Mirana, you don't offer like typical saves that many supports might have. Your stun is unreliable. You know, if you hit it too close, it's not that useful, actually. So if they start going to carry, you can't actually do that much. But you're also a range hero who's not going to take that much damage. So 6 tangos for himself is overkill, but I think he's feeding it to, or potentially he has the option to feed it to his Naga Siren. So as his carry takes a lot of damage, because they're melee versus melee and Ion Shell, he can feed them the tangos while he continues to just right-click and not take too much damage himself. And you can afford to do that because you're buying a lot of cheap items like iron branches. So I might give that a shot myself. Interesting. Use Leap there just to get in some extra harass, it seems. I am curious about Leap, right? You have 3 charges, so you have some room to use it, but you don't want to burn charges unnecessarily. So it looks like he is leaping to get some extra damage in while he has illusions to tank for the battery assault. I'd be curious if he would have used Starstorm as well if he had that available to him. And now he's just poking Darkseer again. So we can see how much value he's getting from these cheap stats. Even though he had to backpack one for now, he can later eat it with the tango. All these attacks, he's probably easily gotten an extra 100 damage in just from all the bonus damage he bought and the amount of auto attacks he's been doing. Okay, doing a small pull. At this stage, let's see, starting to have more wave clear on the Naga. Picked Ensnare. I wonder if that means they're thinking about like a level 3 arrow potentially, because then you can ensnare into arrow. Though he kind of has Ensnare before he's level 3, so he wasn't even like holding the skill point. Let's see, that's Starstorm. I think trying to secure this creep, but also get harass on the Clockwork. There's the double hit on the Clockwork. It's a very nice positioning on that. And then he's just going to poke a lot. He's very free right now because he has Leap, and he has 2 melee creeps with him, so he's just going to abuse the enemy heroes. And he can play this aggressive because he has Leap. So I want to make sure I'm not playing like a typical 5 who's ranged but has no mobility, you know, like a Lich or a Crystal Maiden, where it's like, okay, I'm not going to like chase all the way here because that's pretty scary, and I'm going to slow here, and if they go on me, I'll die. But I think you can do it with Mirana because of Leap. So I guess you need level 2 first, right? Be careful about doing that level 1. Cleared out a slot. What'd you buy? More observers and sentries, or one of each. What about that Starstorm? Oh, trying to secure this range creep, it looks like. And then I think he was imagining the double hit, but this creep aggroed over to him, and I don't know if he noticed or not, or he thought just one hit plus an auto attack was enough. But still secures it. But I can see why he was doing it. He was trying to get the range creep, and that's not too different from a normal 5. About to hit level 3 here, so let's see what he takes. We do have the ensnare set up, so not all carries would be able to set up your arrow. He's using Starstorm. Oh, I think he leveled up just before he cast that Starstorm for the extra damage. That would make sense to me. Yep, okay, levels it up and then casts it. Again, a case where guaranteed double hit, and he's doing a lot of damage here on the Clockwork. Keeping Clockwork low so he can't run too much at Skeeter. Just kind of like harassing down the Clockwork, who is usually scary, but if you can just poke him down, he can't do as much. Half pull. All right, at this point, I'm curious now. So the next stage, how much XP do we take for ourselves versus give our carry? So again, pro match, so they're gonna have like very, very advanced thoughts on this. That maybe, you know, Pub's not so much. But so far, he's mostly split XP. Naga is getting a little bit more, but right now we're 3 to 4. So I'll be curious if he starts giving even more and more, or if he continues to kind of like get what he needs. Maybe until level 4 when he picks up Arrow, and then that's kind of everything you need. Like, you'd still want more levels, but you now have 1 point in each. You've gotten good value out of 2 points in Starstorm. I mean, he's just here, you know? So Naga was like off, and he's just getting his XP. He wasn't like trying to keep everything alive for the Naga to come back to. Okay, leap to avoid taking too much damage. Now chasing a little bit. Actually, another leap as well. Maybe they're trying to get this kill. Okay, and then returns to the lane. Doesn't chase the Clockwork too much. Darkseer's on his own, so maybe if he hits level 4, maybe they could go for a kill attempt. Oh, Clockwork's back. Can you just get the XP? Wait, that's pretty interesting. Okay, so like the illusions don't get XP. They get the gold, but they don't get XP on Naga, which is why sometimes you'll see her ultra farmed and she's still like levels below other carries. So this is pretty cool where the illusions came over to farm and then Sneyking came over. So he's giving solo XP to Skeeter, but he doesn't have to farm this camp on his own, which is kind of a pain for position 5s because the illusions are actually doing it. But he does cast Starstorm, which... Let's see, Darkseer's here, so I guess he's just trying to like secure some of the last hits. Otherwise, maybe he would have let the illusions get it himself. Or get it themselves. Ugh! Oh, that was close. Alright, and they're just gonna like poke down Darkseer since he's trying to like creep drag. Okay, we're down to our last leap charge. Let's see if it's worth using. Don't need to. Excellent. All right, so now we're getting to that stage where we start maybe leaving the lane, and it looks like, okay, so we are leaving, and that was partly coincidence, like, they just got a kill on Darkseer. It totally makes sense to me to leave now, but I also think he probably stays in the lane until he hits level 4 and has Sacred Arrow and has 2 points in Starstorm, has his leap, because to me, that feels like that's everything you need to be effective. I think if you try to roam before then, like with a 1-1-1 build, maybe that's okay, but you are still missing extra Starstorm damage to make these ganks work, and that feels bad. Or if you have like a 2-0-1 build, yeah, you don't have the stun, right? So you can leap in and like Starstorm, and that's kind of it. It doesn't really like any of the setups, the Tiny or the Tusk, you can't really combo with. So I feel like level 4 feels like a good time to be my minimum requirement. I want this out of the laning stage before I start moving out. One for the mid hero. This was also the 8 minutes. So, I mean, there was a lot of reasons he rotated at this time. It's not just like because he hit level 4. Oh, trying to give Tusk that rune, but unfortunately he died before he could get it. And then I think he's dead without charges. No, he's actually just a little faster than Clockwork. Oh, Clockwork's boots weren't in. They were just delivered. Ah, please. Skeeter, help me. Okay, he's good. So I think he... tangoed an Iron Branch there. That was his last tango. It doesn't actually need 4 Iron Branches in the future. What's he building? Wand and a Windlace. Interesting. I I mean, yeah, there's some fast heroes. The mobility will help. I wonder if that's why he's getting just like a casual win lace. Or actually, I didn't see his build. Maybe he's getting triangles this game. I guess we'll find out. Does seem pretty nice to be able to like run away from some of this stuff that's going on. Sick D ward. Oh, I got no leap charges. Ah! All right, tries to get away. So now let's see where he goes. I think this is always good to do when you watch matches. Every time someone is teleporting, every time someone dies, see what they do. Why are they going somewhere? Where are they looking to the map? Where are they moving? So right now, let's see. They're looking at top, but he has no teammates there. Still making his way in here. I wonder if he's gonna like ward in the jungle to make sure Skeeter will be safe. Okay, so there's a sentry. Okay, and then TPing down here because a fight's breaking out. So I think he would have liked to finish dewarding a bit more, but looks like they did get one ward placed down here. I don't know if that was him or if Skeeter had his own, but this I think is what we were saying, right? Protect your carry, who can still play up here, but they are going to try to like invade, so you don't want them to die. And then he'll have his courier come check this high ground. If there's something there, they can have. Oh, maybe Skeeter's doing it actually with his own courier. Maybe he would have stayed to finish it out, but a fight broke out, and so now he's immediately down here. Okay, arrow combo off of other heroes. That's pretty standard Mirana stuff. So this is the part where, because Mirana was a 4, I don't need to like completely learn the hero. Some of this carries over, right? Like you're still gonna look for the same kind of setups as 5 versus 4, I think, but you're maybe just playing a little less greedy. So I think we're gonna like try to get a snowball into punch here, and then we'll launch the arrow. But maybe the cooldowns. Okay, he had the cooldowns, but it was getting into a scary spot, so they decided not to do it. We just bought something, a smoke. All right, so right now, I don't think he wants to play too much with the Naga Siren. I think you want to go with the Tusk, the Tiny, the Death Prophet. He is walking in here, so let's see what he's doing. Maybe still just checking for more D-wards. All right, with Clockwork here, you're not going to do it right now. So I think he was doing some D-warding duties right there. Circling this up. Wow, that's unfortunate. All right, where's he going to go when he respawns? Does look like the enemy is invading his base, but he might be coming mid and trying to defend that tower. And let's see. Yeah, so him and Tusk are going to come fight in their jungle a little bit. Oh, wait, they did just use arrow. What was that on? Oh, okay. He used arrow to check this high ground. It does mean he won't have it for this attempt here, but... Oh, maybe that is an issue. No? Okay, we're good. With Tusk, I think he probably doesn't have to have the arrow against a support, but maybe would like that arrow. However, if there's an observer here and you're not sure, then it's like you're trying to gank and they know you're coming. So it's kind of like, what's the point in the sense? So I can kind of see why it's worth firing the arrow to check. Okay, smoke attempt. Needs arrow in just a second. There's the setup. Snowball into punch, into arrow. And then you can do it again pretty soon. What do you need, like 3 seconds? Yep. So keeping this distance to maybe make it easier to land a full duration arrow. Or just positioning safely. Now their arrow set up onto avalanche toss. Okay, he did get arcane boots. He just has a casual wind lace. That's pretty cool. I wonder what else if he'll build into anything. So using his spells. Let's see why he's doing this. I thought he was trying to stack. I got some replay bugs here. Oh, nothing was there to stack. Okay. Alright, used his spells to help Skeeter farm a little bit faster. That's very nice of him. But looks like he's getting some last hits himself, maybe. Or at least the XP. Yeah, XP at least. Another observer up here. So actually, I find this pretty interesting. He's staying up top more than I thought. I would thought he would have tried to play like bottom with 33 and Soxa a little bit more, but hmm. They might be just waiting for the right timing, like let Soxa keep getting some farm for Blink. Or maybe it's just coincidence. Maybe he just needed to do the proper dewarding before he can leave to make sure Skeeter can farm. Alright, he's up here being the one D-pushing. Naga went somewhere else. Does he have an item he wants to finish? 4 staff this game, that makes sense. You got Clockwork, you got the Nature's Prophet. It's unfortunate against Mars, but I can still see why there's a lot of value in this 4 staff. Okay, using Arrow to kill the Catapult right away, so the wave will push. And then actually ulting for his team, but he himself is not joining. So he's going to do a little bit of farming up here himself. So this is where I think the pro versus pub match is pretty different. I think they're giving him some priority here to get some farm, and the cores are like being active now. This may not happen in our pubs as much. I suspect he might have a core like AFK farming here for quite a while. So I think in our games, I might have to try to be more active with the heroes down here. I might just try that. I'm not sure if, hey, can you guys go fight while I farm this lane is gonna like pan out in a pub game. But I can see why, right? You want your supports to have a certain amount of levels. That's like something Tundra's been doing. And I think pro teams in general, right, is like to let their supports have a game by making sure they get some XP, slightly faster item timings than their peers, and the cores be a little active and make space. And even though they're not as rich as usual, because you're like being active, you are kind of like keeping the enemy down a little bit. All right, so this is where I usually, like I said, focus on the laning stage and a little bit after that to see like some rotations, movements. But this is where we're going to start really splitting between pro matches and pub matches, where they're going to have like a lot of coordinated efforts. There's going to be a lot of like team plays that aren't going to be so common in our games. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom through this. I will cut to pieces that I think are interesting to worth sharing with you all, and I'll see how long that is, and maybe we'll watch another game instead. Sneyking is taking the time to farm, and I find that pretty interesting. I'll be curious to like check in on some pubs to see if he's doing this as well, and maybe some other pro Mirana 5s, because I do think Mirana is a bit of a greedier hero who maybe does need to farm a bit more than a standard 5. But I'm curious if there's like a certain item timing they all want to line up. We have the Blink on Tiny, BKB on the way for Death Prophet, maybe Blink starting to almost be there for Tusk. Heart's probably a little later than that. But then the 4 staff. So I could see these 4 heroes all finishing their next major item. Mainly, okay, actually, probably these 3 heroes. Tiny has the Blink, and you know the 4 staff will probably be a bit. So maybe they're trying to line up that time. Like you get your 4 staff, you get your Blink on Tusk, you get your BKB, and then we'll group up more. And in that time, you know, make sure you get your farm so that we have those timings line up. Because you see stuff like he's doing his dewarding duties and stuff, but he's using like Arrow to farm, using Starstorm to farm a little bit as well. Yeah, so his cores come and finish the job, but he's like expediting it so no one has to spend like as much time on their own doing it. This is where I think it's like kind of a team choice. Okay, we are actually getting together a little bit. Let's see. Still buying plenty of observers and sentries. Arrow, the Clockwork, Tiny toss save. Alright, everyone gets out alive. They use spells. Using Starstorm to try to push out the mid wave and then get back, but got caught out. He's a position 5 though, so like, you know, I think that's kind of like team making space play. Like I get the farm, but also push in the mid wave to help out my team. I think that like kind of risk is not so bad. Now respawns and goes top again, so he really does want I think the reason he's doing this, he wants to finish his 4-staff, but also someone needs to be up there. Otherwise, you're going to get ratted a lot by like Nature's Prophet or Darkseer. So the question is, do you want your cores or supports to be here? And I think Mirana can do this job while you have very active heroes down here, like Tusk, Death Prophet, Tiny, doing things. And Naga can honestly farm pretty aggressively with these illusions without putting herself at too much risk. Plus, she got this Orchid build, which is meant to be a little bit more active. So I find it interesting because, you know, the arrow is good for these kind of early plays. But, I mean, who else would you put here? Would you prefer to take out the Death Prophet or the Tusk? I mean, not really. You want to bring the Tiny here? The Tiny's like the blink instant initiation, so you kind of need him. So even though this arrow is good, it does seem like someone's got to be up here. And funny enough, Mirana is actually the least important for that kind of play, which I think is a little different than what I would have expected her to be. And that might be something, you know, specific to the pro games, which I think she's like a fairly active 5 is what my impression was. So this might be something we got to go like check in some pub games to see if the trend continues. Mirana finished her 4-staff. Heart is still not here quite yet like we thought. He did get his blink on Tusk. We have the BKB on Death Prophet. And then Tiny, you know, worked a little bit more towards his 4-staff. I actually think he didn't. I think he bought some smaller items though. So I do think that thought was right. Like they're trying to line up these item timings. And here's our first smoke out together. Well, Naga's still farming because Naga wants her heart. Oh, nice arrow. Slow down here for the team fight. So, coming in for this Star Storm damage. And then kind of waiting to make sure he stays alive, maybe to use more arrows. Possibly disengaging. Oh, they still have Death Prophet ult going. Kind of surprised by how much they just like clumped up right there. I guess they think they have vision superiority, though. Kind of risky. I guess the spells were already used, though, actually, so it's not as risky. Okay, so then they get control of this area. But the enemy's all missing, so I think they're going to, like, retreat together. Whoa! Tried to arrow Sumail. Surprisingly, Sumail's got pretty good reaction times. Pressed BKB in time. But at least you're forcing that BKB out, then just leaping away. Using arrow to scout the high ground arrow, or the high ground ward. He picked up drums, which I think kind of makes sense. You're like lining up this tempo with the heart now being finished on Naga. Tusk is working on BKB. Let's see, no new items here. Working on Hex. So working on 4-staff. But I think it's a lot for the Naga, and then a lot just for like the team plan, which is like to move together along with you know, they have a lot of move speed boosts, so you kind of like now have your own with the drums. Arrow to kill the catapult, Star Storm to farm, and then quickly run away just to be safe. You've now pushed out the lane. You didn't get every last hit, but you did your job and you stayed safe. Okay, here's a smoke play. Let's see how she's playing. She's staying in the back so that she can get a long duration arrow. We got the punch, snowball. There's the arrow. Ooh, there wasn't enough overlap on those stuns. I think they'll still get him, though. Even pros aren't perfect. Sometimes stuff just works out that way for you. Working on Pipe. I guess his team all took a look at their Dota Plus damage trackers, and they're like, we need some magic resistance. Makes sense. No one else really wants to build it, so I think that's part of the Mirana flexibility. You just build whatever. And Pipe is apparently next on the list. Looks like a Lotus on after that. All right, they're coming to siege high ground, so let's see how she positions. She's actually a little closer than I thought. Maybe wants to be in range to 4-staff and for the drums to take into effect. But I guess you also have Leap and possibly could 4-staff yourself, so maybe you can be a little closer than the usual position 5. It's scaring me, though. I would have thought you can just be like further back for the arrow. Okay, leapt in there to 4-staff her teammate out. So maybe that was why she was standing closer earlier, to not have to use Leap. But in this case, Tiny kind of like needed the help. Okay, but she is standing further back. She's not like frontlining or anything. She is now pretty far back. See, where you gonna arrow? Doesn't have it yet, actually. Ha. Close enough to still use Force Staff. Uses drums to disengage. All right, so yeah, still staying mostly back, but maybe a little closer than a typical position 5 can, because you have the natural mobility to get out. Another high ground push, but they just want to fight, so I think she's just up here hitting things, using drums to speed this along. There's not too much risk of being too far up when the enemy are dead, so I think this might be about the end of the game. Is this their gem? Maybe bought a gem to close out the vision game as they try to solidify the end here. Maybe we're going a little too fast, but I think they're kind of snowballing the end here, maybe. There's some buybacks. But you're missing your carry. It's probably just Megas and then the end. All right, they kind of just got Aegis and then won another fight with Megas, you know, and then close it out. So I don't think we need to like go over that. I don't think that's like the point. This isn't really meant to be like a game analysis so much as like how to play Mirana, learning about that. So I think if you're just here to see me talk about Mirana, I think we're probably good on that front. I think the items, I see a lot of value in the Force Staff, but I also see the flexibility of getting whatever you need. Sneyking ended up getting this Aeon Disc because he was getting killed a couple times by like chain stun into his death. So I think the Aeon Disc is pretty nice on Mirana to keep her alive because she has a lot of mobility. So as long as you like don't get killed instantly, you can probably get a lot of distance with your leaps and or Force Staff if you have that. Which I do think is great because I saw Sneyking several times leap in, Force Staff someone out, leap out. So it's like a pseudo save on a hero that doesn't have a save naturally. And then you're kind of like always within the realm of position to use it because of leap. It does require 2 charges, but kind of a cool way to use that. Or for your own aggressive plays, you can leap in, Starstorm, leap out, or Force Staff out if you don't have charges. So just a lot of like mobility there, and I think that's really cool. But also just like the team aura items we saw her pick up. Just very nice when you're playing with a team, which, you know, pub games, your mileage may vary. So at this point, for those who are watching to like understand how to learn from replays, that's usually kind of what I do. And then I would watch another game and another game and another game. And then I would go play my own games and try to do some of what I learned. So in this game, I'd really focus on the laning stage first, get that down, and then start worrying about the bigger movements. Like, am I in the right parts of the map? Am I farming enough? That sort of thing. Then I'd maybe watch those games a little bit and then just kind of like repeat from there. So I think I will go do that. I do want to learn Mirana 5. It's not a totally new learning curve because I did play 4, but I'll adjust to the 5 and I will play it out a bit and maybe you'll see a guide in the near future. But I hope this helped, whether you're here for Mirana or just how to learn from replays in general. Let me know if you guys want more of this kind of stuff. Or if you just want like the actual full game analysis. I know we're kind of jumping around just focused on Mirana, but if you do want me to just check out more like pro pub matches or DPC matches and just talk through the idea of the hero, no skipping around, just talk through their entire team fights, all of that, the whole game. It'll be pretty long probably since a lot of DPC games go quite a while, but I'm happy to do that if you guys would like that. So let me know, leave a comment, like and subscribe, all of that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.